Well, today we are really navigating a perfect storm in the trucking industry. And we're not just talking about bad weather on the road. This is about economics, regulations, legal fights, all hitting at the same time. It's creating this systemic risk for drivers all across the country. And we know this world. We've been in it since 2008, with LikeTheTrucker.com, the YouTube channel. For years, our whole focus was on helping people get into the industry.
Right, helping them find their feet.
Exactly. But looking at the stack of sources in front of us today, that mission, it's had to completely pivot. The data is now screaming one thing: we need to help you successfully get out, but on your own terms.
And that shift is really the whole point of this deep dive. I mean, the sources just confirm it again and again. Relying 100% on that steering wheel today it's a massive gamble. We're seeing all these threats hitting at once, causing real pain, real financial suffering. So our job today is to look at these threats and then, detail the shield.
Oh, shit.
Yeah, the financial buffer that drivers can build to protect themselves from these ups and downs they can't control.
Exactly. And for those of you feeling that pressure, we get it. We are committed to helping you build that exit. So first, we'll unpack the 4 big pressure points, from the economic slide to regulatory battles. Then we'll get into the solution, creating that recurring income. Okay, let's unpack this. So let's start with the most immediate threat, the one everyone's feeling in their wallet: the economy, the sources. I mean, they're calling this year's peak season a complete failure.
Oh, it was worse than a failure. They're calling it a seasonal slide. It just evaporated.
Seasonal slide.
Yeah, it was a brutal correction. Right before the 2025 holidays, when rates are supposed to spike, the exact opposite happened. We saw nearly 12,000 workers in transportation, logistics, right when things should be booming.
12,000. That's not just a soft market, that's a collapse.
It is. And the cause is structural. It's the direct result of retailers massively overstocking for the last few years. You combine that with consumers being really cautious, with inflation and interest rates.
So too much stuff in the warehouses, not enough people buying it.
Exactly. So freight demand just softens up. But here's the really important part, the deeper insight. This creates what you could call a massive leverage gap.
A leverage gap. Okay, explain that. I mean, why are owner-operators still taking these loads if the rates are so bad?
Because they have no choice.
Yeah.
The oversupply of trucks gives the brokers all the leverage. They can push spot rates so low, they're barely above the cost of fuel, sometimes not even.
Wow.
So the small operator has this impossible choice: run the load at a loss just to cover some bills, or park the truck and face total bankruptcy tomorrow.
So as that economic floor is just falling out from under everyone, let's move to the next threat. This one hits your license itself, the CDL crackdown.
Yeah, this is a huge source of instability. It brings political risk right into the cab of the truck. The FMCSA, that's the Federal Motor Carrier Safety Administration, they proposed this rule back in 2025. It would have forced states to suspend or just terminate the CDLs of non-citizens if they didn't have very specific visas or lawful status.
And the potential impact of that, I mean, it was enormous.
Massive. The estimates were that it could have sidelined 194,000 active working drivers.
194,000 drivers.
Overnight. Just think about what that does to the supply chain. Every store, every factory.
But wait a minute. If you have that many drivers potentially without, what the government calls lawful status, doesn't the FMCSA have a duty to enforce the law?
Yeah.
Regardless of the impact.
And that is the core of the whole legal debate in the sources. Federal court in DC got stopped before. They didn't really argue about the immigration law itself. They argued about the process and the intent of the FMCSA.
Okay, so it was a technicality.
More than that. The court basically said the FMCSA skipped consulting with the states, which is a huge deal. And crucially, they had no proof that yanking these licenses would actually improve safety.
So it was seen as politics, not safety policy.
Exactly. It was seen as trying to use a safety agency to enforce immigration policy. And that threatened to cause massive disruption for no proven safety benefit.
So you've got falling demand on one side and political batters over your credentials on the other. Unbelievable. All right, let's move on. Let's talk about something that affects the physical safety of the driver and their truck.
Yeah.
This cold war between climate rules and just commercial reality.
Right. And this really centers on EPA emissions rules, specifically the diesel exhaust fluid systems, the DEF systems.
And the danger here isn't some theory, right? Our sources document this as a real life-threatening problem. What's the specific issue?
Well, it's basic chemistry. In extreme cold, like sub-zero temperatures, the DEF fluid can freeze solid, or it just won't get hot enough to work right. But the truck's computer, the ECU, it's programmed to assume one thing:
that the driver's cheating the system.
That the driver's trying to bypass emissions controls, it assumes fraud, and the way the rule enforces compliance is by forcing the engine into limp mode, or in some cases, a full mandatory shutdown.
A shutdown regardless of where you are.
Exactly. It doesn't care if you're on a mountain pass or in the middle of nowhere.
So it literally strands drivers in remote, unsafe, sub-zero locations because a computer can't deal with winter.
It's this profound disconnect, you know? Regulators in DC offices versus the reality of driving in North Dakota in January. I read one story about a driver this happened to 20 miles from the nearest town. I mean, that's not just an inconvenience, that's a life or death situation. And for the owner op, it's also a huge bill. Towing, repairs, lost revenue.
Which brings us to the Cold Weather Diesel Reliability Act. That's a direct response to this.
Yes, Senate Bill 3135 and House Bill 6250. It's really just trying to inject some common sense into the system. It would grant exemptions from these shutdowns for trucks that operate in freezing climates. I mean, the core conflict you see over and over is that these one-size-fits-all regulations, written without real-world input, they just create financial strain and real physical danger.
And that connects perfectly to our next section. We hit federal policy, economics. Let's shift to threats that are a bit more under the radar, legal pitfalls, and local politics.
Yeah.
Let's start with a case about business discipline. The dump truck owner accused of, what was it, a $2.4 million fraud scheme.
Right, against Beechwood Explosives Company. And this case, it isn't just about a dishonest person. It's a cautionary tale about not having your operational ducks in a row. He was accused of inflating costs, billing for work that was never done, and he was doing it with a company in a highly regulated industry. Explosive.
So for the listener, the honest trucker just trying to run their business, what's the takeaway here beyond don't commit fraud?
The takeaway is that you need an ironclad business structure, especially if you're dealing with contracts or regulated goods. Lax discipline, poor record keeping, it can open you up to federal charges. The defense isn't just being honest. It's using digital tools, GPS platforms, things that create an unchangeable record, proof of work.
That protects you from accusations.
It protects the honest operator from both intentional fraud charges and just accidental legal trouble because of messy paperwork.
That's a really important point. Now let's talk about a local policy choice that's having huge ripple effects. The Maryland and Virginia trash debate.
Ah, yes. Montgomery County, Maryland wants to stop burning about 600,000 tons of its trash.
And their solution is?
To truck it all hundreds of miles to landfills in rural Virginia.
That sounds a lot like just exporting your pollution. What does this do to the truckers and the communities involved?
Well, it's a classic case of environmental injustice, really. The county gets to say they're being green by closing an incinerator, but the immediate result is a huge spike in truck traffic. We're talking over 15,000 extra truck trips a year.
15,000. Burning more diesel, tearing up the highways.
And exporting the pollution, the landfill methane, the potential for leaks to lower income rural communities in another state.
So truckers are basically being used to solve a local political problem for one wealthy county.
Precisely. And it pushes honest operators into hauling the lowest margin, dirtiest freight imaginable. It's just a bad deal all around. So let's just, synthesize this for a second. We have a volatile economy, impossible rates. We have regulatory instability threatening licenses. We have rules that literally shut your truck down in the cold. We have fraud risks. What does this all mean? It means that relying 100% on the miles you drive is just not sustainable anymore. It leaves the driver with zero control.
It means we have to find a way to escape that cycle. And this is why our whole focus has shifted. The solution we see across all these sources is building that financial shield we talked about, generating extra recurring streams of income online.
It's all about digital leverage. It's about creating income, using AI, using digital tools, strategies built for truckers. You can use that off-duty time waiting for a load, resetting your hours, to build something that acts as a buffer against all this chaos.
We need to make this real for people, though. AI-powered income can sound pretty abstract. What's a concrete example? A digital skill someone could learn that freight rates can't touch.
Well, a great example from the sources is truckers who move from driving logistics to selling logistics expertise. Using AI tools, for instance, to quickly build and sell a guide for local delivery companies on how to optimize their routes. Or a compliance checklist.
Ah, so you create a digital product once.
And sell it over and over. That skill, it generates recurring income, and it's totally disconnected from whether the load board is hot or cold this month.
That is the power of shifting control. And the ultimate goal isn't just A little extra money. It's financial independence. Making money online, money that comes in every month, that's what helps you retire when you want to, on your terms. It protects you if your company goes under or the government changes the rules again. That digital skill, that's your real safety net.
And if you're ready to start building that shield, we've put together a resource based on all this. Check out our sister site, offdutymoney.com. You can learn how to create income online with AI, with tools and strategies built just for truckers. And for retirement planning specifically, there's retirefromtrucking.com. There's a free guide there, training on these AI tools.
To sum it all up, the biggest risk in trucking today, it isn't the load you're hauling, it's not even the road conditions, it's the external systems, the political, the bureaucratic, the economic systems that can just flip a switch on your livelihood in an instant.
Right. They can leave you stranded, physically and financially. And the only way to fight that instability is by taking control back, by building skills and income streams that are 100% immune to all of it. That is how you reclaim your autonomy. So we'll leave you with this to think about. You know the reality of the road better than any regulator in Washington, D.C. If building this digital income is the answer to all these threats, what's the one AI-leveraged skill you could start learning tonight? Find that skill. That's the first deposit you make into your freedom fund. Thanks for joining us for the deep dive. Drive safe and start building your shield.